Alchemy. The word conjures images of shadowed laboratories, obsessed men in robes, and a singular mad desire to turn worthless lead into pure, shining gold. We see it as the birth of chemistry, but also as a graveyard of greed and superstition, a failed science, a fool's errand. But what if this was all a smokescreen? What if the gold they sought was not the heavy metal in their crucibles, but a golden light within their very souls? What if the dusty furnaces and bubbling liquids were not just primitive chemistry, but a complex symbolic map? A map of the most profound journey a human can take, the journey of spiritual transformation. This is the story of the true great work, the Magnum Opus, an operation not of metals, but of the human spirit. To understand the Alchemist, we must first understand their foundational text, the Emerald Tablet of Hermes Trismegistus. It contains the central axiom of all esotericism. That which is below is like that which is above, and that which is above is like that which is below. This was not just poetry. It was the alchemist's core belief. The universe, the macrocosm, and the human being, the microcosm, are reflections of each other. Therefore, the alchemist believed that the processes of nature, like the perceived perfection of base metals into gold, were the same processes that governed the purification of the human soul. The laboratory was a mirror. The Prima Materia, or first matter, wasn't just lead or mercury. It was the alchemist's own unpurified, chaotic, and unconscious self. To transform the metal, the alchemist first had to transform themselves. The entire great work was driven by a single cyclical process, solve et coagulata, a Latin phrase meaning dissolve and coagulate. To the alchemist, this meant breaking something down to its most basic, chaotic essence, and then reassembling it into a new, higher, and more perfect form. And this was applied directly to the human psyche. Solve, to dissolve the rigid, false structures of the self. The ego, the hardened prejudices, the traumas, the unexamined beliefs. This is a painful, often chaotic process of confronting one's own darkness. Coagula, to coagulate or bring together the purified elements. To rebuild the self from a place of truth, integrating the conscious and unconscious to create a new, enlightened and whole individual. This process of solve et coagula was often broken down into 7 symbolic stages. These were the true steps of the Magnum Opus. 1. Calcination, the stage of fire. This is the burning away of the gross, superficial self. It represents the destruction of the ego and our attachments to the material world. It is the necessary dark night of the soul that begins the journey. 2. Dissolution, the stage of water. The ashes of the old self are dissolved, revealing the raw, unfiltered contents of the unconscious mind. This is the stage of facing the shadow self, the fears, desires, and emotions we have long repressed. 3. Separation, the stage of air. Here, the alchemist must filter the dissolved contents of their soul. They must consciously separate the valuable from the worthless. It is the process of reclaiming what is true and discarding what is false. 4. Conjunction, the stage of earth. This is the sacred marriage. The purified elements of the self, the conscious and unconscious, the masculine and feminine, the logical and the intuitive, are brought together in harmony. The soul is no longer at war with itself. 5. Fermentation, the death of the old, conjoined self and the beginning of a new, higher life. This stage is a putrefaction that leads to rebirth, introducing a new spiritual energy that animates the alchemist's soul in a way it never was before. 6. Distillation, the further purification of this new, fermented spirit. It is boiled, evaporated into vapor, and recondensed into a purer form. This is the elevation of consciousness, rising above the material to commune with the divine. 7. Coagulation, the final stage. The purified spirit is made solid. The spiritual gold is created. This is the completion of the great work. The alchemist has achieved a state of permanent, integrated enlightenment. This is the true philosopher's stone. The philosopher's stone, the lapis philosophorum, was not a physical rock that granted immortality or endless wealth. It was the symbol of the perfected soul. It was the alchemists themselves, made whole. It represented the achievement of divine wisdom or gnosis, a direct, experiential knowledge of the divine. The power to transmute lead into gold was a metaphor. It was the perfected alchemist's new ability to see the divine spark, the gold, hidden within all things, even in the lead of other, unawakened people. Their new purpose was not to hoard gold, but to help others begin their own great work. This ancient philosophy found a powerful rebirth in the 20th century, not in a lab, but in the mind of the great psychoanalyst, Carl Jung. Jung studied alchemical texts and saw in their bizarre symbols a perfect roadmap for his own psychological process, which he called individuation. For Jung, the great work was the lifelong process of integrating the conscious mind with the vast hidden world of the unconscious. Calcination was confronting the ego. Dissolution was facing the shadow. Conjunction was the integration of the anima and animus. Jung showed us that alchemy was, and always has been, a profound and timeless map of psychology. Alchemy was never truly about turning lead into gold. It was about turning a human being into a divine human. It was a spiritual technology, veiled in the language of chemistry. It teaches us that the most important laboratory we will ever have is our own mind. The most valuable substance we will ever work with is our own soul. Lead, our ignorance, our pain, and our chaos is not a curse. It is the Prima Materia, the raw material, from which our own inner gold is waiting to be made. If this exploration of spiritual alchemy illuminated your path, please consider liking this video and subscribing for more journeys into the grand tapestry of belief. What lead in your own life are you seeking to transform? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Thank you for watching.